now recording.
All right, hereby call to order the airport committee meeting on Tuesday, June 21st, 6:35.
Hey.
Hello.
Right on time.
Ooh, the road got me today.
So we're here to discuss hangar rents.
Yes.
I think Philip had a recommendation on that, and that was to keep it where it was.
Yes. Philip was, has left not feeling well, and he did say he did recommend leaving the hangar rent at $100 a month.
Sorry, I think this is our registrar. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
What are the hangar rents?
So
Over
this
at
is
the airport. Remember
Okay,
when we
okay.
went
When
and
y'all went on your tour, she said y'all did not go in the hangars.
Okay,
And Jake said it was 10, he believed. out
yeah,
there.
it's 10 out there.
okay,
Now, when Philip described them, he says, you know, they're old and $100 was what they should be paying. He says that they're dirt floors, and he said birds can get in there and stuff like that. So they're older buildings, and what they're paying, what everyone pays now, is $100 a month.
okay.
Eric Nash had mentioned in one of the meetings, and so they referred it to airport transportation to talk about the rent, but Philip did recommend staying with $100.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Allman says that they're all rented except for one, and somebody was getting ready to rent that as
Yeah.
well. And $100 sounds cheap for
Yeah.
airport hangar rent, but Philip said just because the buildings are older and with the dirt floors and stuff, that he recommended that they stay at $100.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and Jake said that he did check surrounding rents, and we are on target. It's
Okay.
not like,
We're more than anybody else.
yeah, or really less than anybody else. Because I remember from that meeting, that was Eric's concern, was that we weren't charging enough. And I think it's been 100 for a while, right?
Yes, it's been since I've been here.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's what he was saying. But, yeah, but Philip says,
Okay.
Apologies,
Scott
I've
was
been waiting
just-
for that.
Ms. Scott was just saying that you had told us that you had checked around and we're on target with the $100.
Yeah, we're pretty on target. I took some very last minute notes on it. I do know that crew is somewhere in my phone where it says how much crew is. Sorry, I forgot how to use my own phone. I believe they're $50 for the open hangars and $100 for their normal hangars, which I believe have concrete floors and are actually a little nicer than what we have. Their new ones are.
So what do you mean open, and so what does the town have, open?
We have closed T hangars with dirt
Okay.
floors with a small concrete space in the middle. Some of them are full concrete, but that's because the tenant had it for so long they went ahead and put concrete in their own hangar since they were there for a little bit.
So you said closed T hangars with dirt floors.
Closed T hangars, dirt floors with one concrete space in the middle where the airplane's wheels would go. Now, when I say a full concrete hangar, which we do not have, it's when it's concrete all around under the wings and on everything, so it makes it nice. So you can put toolboxes, you can put stuff in there that rolls around. It's a higher quality hangar. And then you have what's called a manual door, and then a electric door, which is one manual, one's electric. And typically, if you're having an electric door, you can charge a premium for that. We don't have any electric doors. We have all manual doors,
Okay.
and half of our manual doors don't work very well.
So is this like a garage door type thing that rolls up? Is that-
Most of them slide to the side on like a track. Ours are pretty old. We have the newer styles are normally 2 panels that slide very easily. We have the majority of our hangars are the old style, which is a 3-piece door, which you gotta kind of swing out and then push over, and to be quite honest, they're not in the most pristine condition. So, and nobody out at the airport's complaining about it, but
Okay,
it's
are we gonna try to fix
certainly not
those?
a premium. It's certainly not like a premium hangar
Okay.
where we could charge a premium rate.
Okay.
Our rate, I believe that our rate is appropriate for
Okay.
not only
Right.
the condition of the hangars, but the condition and what they are.
What does
Okay.
a T hanger mean? What does it
T
mean?
hanger means that they're in the shape of T's. So if you picture an airplane, you got the big wings and it comes down to a small tail. So a T hanger is literally a cutout of an airplane
Okay.
and a T.
Just goes
And
right in there.
Yeah, and the way it works is you have one T on one side, one T on the other, and if you play Tetris, the 2 T's fit together, and you can go alternate T's down, and
Okay.
you can fit more airplanes in a smaller
Okay.
amount of space.
Okay.
And Philip did say that it would be very costly to update the hangars, and at this time, we didn't have the money to do that, so
Okay.
that's why he was willing to stay with the.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay, yeah.
And then Kimbridge, I called Kimbridge. Kimbridge has open canopies, almost like a carport. They're at $25 a month. And then Dinwiddie, which is nice, a little bit nicer of an airport. They have more facilities, they have maintenance, and they have more amenities. It's sort of like, living in the country versus living in the city. When you talk about airports, if they have maintenance, some have a restaurant. Chesterfield has a restaurant that you can.
Ooh, okay.
So people fly in to use that, and when you start getting those amenities, you
Right.
charge.
Charge more, of course.
Yep, but Dinwiddie, they have maintenance and some other amenities there at $165 for what's comparable to us.
Okay.
And then when you go to a nice full concrete with a newer manual door, it's $215, and then they go all the way to I believe it's $265 for an updated
Okay.
hanger with an electric door.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Chesterfield is in the 200s as well, but they have all electric doors and a lot of amenities on the airfield.
I mean,
Okay.
but do you think y'all will ever consider upgrading though?
Well,
Or do you see that these tenants the tenants that we have is longevity, and so we don't need to upgrade, or would it ever be beneficial to upgrade?
I think that eventually we need to think about bigger corporate hangars where you're going to fit a bigger jet or something like that, to where people from Fast, like not people, Fast Sea themselves, or some of the bigger customers, or some of your bigger company owners would consider relocating a business here because they have a hangar.
Hangar, okay.
I think that eventually that might be something doable, whether that's done on a private, in the private sector where somebody comes in and builds it themselves
So,
for their
okay.
own airplane, or I don't know if it's necessarily good for the town of Blackstone to provide that. We have looked into building newer style hangars and expanding, because I think there is a demand there for more hangars. Problem is it's really hard to make the numbers work. I mean, you really have to stretch the financing out really long distance, like a 30-year note at a really, really low interest rate to make the numbers work. And you're never going to make money off of them. It's more about an amenity than it would be making
Right.
money.
Right, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
And on the private side of things, you can build it without grants, but it still ends up being that same problem.
Right.
If you do get grant work, you can have the Department of Aviation come in, and they'll do they'll do the site work and the dirt work, but not the construction. Problem is, when you accept their money, then you accept their what their qualifications are, and it runs the cost way up again. So they make you build it to a very strict specification for using their money, and it puts the price out of the ballpark.
Okay.
So we all in agreement of
Yeah.
leaving
Yes.
it at $100?
Yes.
Yes. No.
Do we have a motion to recommend to council?
Now, I will say before, if there
Okay.
is a motion, I'm going to abstain from it. The business
Right.
that I work for has some of these hangars, so I'm going to abstain from that.
So moved. That we're gonna leave it at $100.
Yes, I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to report on the airport?
They put the new ramp. The new ramp is, I don't know if you remember us talking about them doing the construction out there, but they came out and we used that money we got from, or the 80-20 grant we got from the Department of Aviation to put in the new ramp out front. So it all was torn up, repaved. We are
Okay.
about 20-something days after the initial paving process, and then when the asphalt has cured enough, they'll come back and put a nice chip seal and put nice lines out there. And it's been a huge
Oh,
huge
okay.
update for the
Okay.
airport, and a really, really great thing to add to it. It makes it so we can park corporate traffic out front to where
So
we
this
don't
is
have
the
to worry about
pavement
it.
of the runway.
Right when you walked out, if you remember the brick building we walked out
We
of.
walked out, it
Yeah.
was, the pavement was
Yeah, the
kinda
pavement was
funky.
in pretty
Yeah,
bad
bad
shape.
shape.
Yeah.
All of that's been redone, and the most important part is we know how much weight we can put it on it now. Before, it was like a mystery number because nobody took notes, nobody knew what the condition was underneath. So when you bring in a big, like some of the corporate jet traffic we were getting, it was like, we're gonna leave this one out there, and we might bring this one in if it's not too hot out, and we don't really know, because what happens is they'll come and park, and then as the pavement's hot, their wheels will sink into the pavement, like, because it's
Wow.
a lot of weight on one little point. now we know how much we can put out there because it was built to the Department of Aviation specs, and they did a bunch of sampling and built it very, very, very
Okay.
nice. And
Okay.
it is a big asset for Blackstone to get more corporate traffic and more fuel sales is what it does. We've been seeing a lot of fuel sales because our fuel is right now is lower than most of the people around us. So we kind of are enticing a lot of traffic to come in for fuel stops. There's a lot of snowbirds that are coming, I guess, going back up the coast from Florida. 'Cause it's too hot down there now, and they a lot of smaller airplanes and some bigger airplanes stopping in. We got a lot of
Wonderful.
traffic in graduation.
Do they
season.
call in advance or they just show up?
They normally call in advance, and Jason or Jeremy or David will come out and fuel them through the town.
We have an airport phone, cell phone, and so that's provided to all the airport frequency things, stuff,
Mhm.
whatever, so they know if they're coming into fuel, they'll call this one phone number.
Okay,
And then we have guys on call every week that answer it, and then next week they switch to somebody else, but they keep that airport phone on them, and so people call ahead and say, hey, I'm coming to
Awesome.
get fuel.
And if you
Awesome.
remember, we run our business out of one side of that FBI.
right.
So my boss's administrative assistant answers the phone in the front. So a lot of times the jet traffic will call her and she'll say, okay, what time are you coming in? We have that courtesy car out that we let people use at no charge, and she'll schedule it with Jason or Jeremy and kind of stay on top of it. And she'll track their flight as it comes in, and she'll call Jeremy or Jason and let them know, hey, looks like they're running about an hour behind, or they're going to get here early. Can you get here early? And kind of make that all run smoothly. And it's resulted in a lot of good reviews on the sites that you go to look this stuff up on. It's sort of like aviation Yelp almost,
Right, okay.
where it's hey, fast service, clean bathrooms, cheap fuel, great staff. So we're starting to rack those up pretty good, and it's resulting in more traffic. We hear people pretty frequently now saying, hey, we saw you got good reviews and it was a good place to stop and you had cheap fuel, so we're stopping. It's sort of like truck drivers. Once you find a truck
The
stop
truck
you like,
stop,
you're just
yeah,
gonna keep
right,
stopping.
yeah.
Okay,
That's awesome.
okay.
Yeah, so we're selling fuel.
What about the hybrid machine that they was gonna put? Is that still coming?
That's still coming. We're working out. If you remember, that motion was made with the condition that Tessie signed off on it. Tessie put a lot of red tape on it, and we kind of talked about it and backed some of that up, and we're kind of passing that back and forth with the provider of that, just to try to make a fair and equal contract. But I just think it's still coming. They still sound very interested in putting it in Blackstone, and I'm pretty excited to have it. I don't know how much it'll get used, but hopefully the future brings in a lot of that.
I think it's gonna get used a lot. I just came from Roanoke for my conference, and they had one out on the street, and we was in the restaurant. You'd be surprised, people who was just pulling up, and they had to pay a fee. I didn't see what they had to pay, but people was just pulling up. I mean, one leave, one go. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have the ones at the airport, but this isn't part of the airport committee meeting, but I'd really like to see this lot we're doing over here next to the tracks.
Well, it'd be there,
I'd
yeah,
like to see some there.
yeah.
And
I was
think
gonna
that
say
in the
too.
proposal. I think that was in the proposal to do that.
Yeah.
When the town decides to, that they can afford to do something up there.
And I don't know how it works. I'm assuming that you pull up an app and there's a lot of there's a map of chargers. I'd like for us to be on that map, because they're gonna have to come here and charge for 20, 30, 45 minutes, and
Right, yeah.
oh, what should I do? Oh, I should walk over to Corner Kitchen. I should
Right,
get
yeah,
a
well,
burger.
exactly,
Oh,
right,
I should check out some of these shops.
Right,
And
yeah.
I think if we get on that map, I mean, we're an hour away from everything.
Right, yeah.
We're an hour, 45 from Farmville, an hour from Chesterfield, 45 from Petersburg. And if we're on that map, I think we'd be a good stop.
Right.
Anyways, that had nothing to do with the airport committee.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you guys have any other questions for the airport?
I think that was it.
We got a meeting tomorrow, right? 7.
Tomorrow is do you wanna go ahead and adjourn this one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead
Yeah,
and
let's
adjourn
adjourn this one.
at
And it is
6:49.
What meeting I got tomorrow?
PM.
Who's
Alright, so
meeting
we'll
tomorrow?
cut this off.